We are watching Tropical Storm Fiona as it moves towards the Lesser Antilles. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Nasa with the Tropical Video Update here on the Tropics. Looking at the Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic, we have a new tropical depression off the coastline of Mexico in the Pacific, and that is forecast to become a tropical storm. If it does so, it will be named Lester, and that is forecast to make landfall along the Mexican coast, and we do have a tropical storm watch in effect for the coastline. But of concern in the Atlantic is Tropical Storm Fiona, and you can see Fiona right in here. It's a naked low-level circulation, a naked vortex, and that's because of this westerly shear that's been shredding it. However, the recon's been flying out there, and the plane found winds at flight level to hurricane force and maximum sustained winds up to 60 miles per hour. So we're going to talk about Fiona right now. Here's the latest as of 5 p.m. Atlantic time. And Fiona was at 16.3 north, 55.4 west. Winds, like I said, up to 60 miles per hour. So it's a moderate tropical storm, even if it's not that organized. Moving west at 14 miles per hour. The pressure's way up at about 1,006 millibars. And we do have watches and warnings out, so I want to go over them. We have a tropical storm warning for Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts, Nevis, Montserrat, Anguilla, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Martin, Guadeloupe, as well as St. Barthélemy. And we have a tropical storm watch for Puerto Rico, including Vieques and Calabre, and the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands. So we have a lot of islands here under watches and warnings because, as you can see from that track, Fiona is expected to impact the Lesser Antilles of the Caribbean Sea sometime Saturday and then on Sunday into Monday even. And right now it is uncertain as far as the intensity. Prepare yourself for a moderate to strong tropical storm. It looks like that's what's going to blow through. Again, if it takes the northern edge of this track, it's probably a stronger system and moves more north of the islands. If it takes a southern track, it's weaker and it moves south into the Caribbean Sea. Right now, the best bet would be thinking something in the middle, which would impact the islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. To say nothing of the Turks, Caicos, and the Bahamas, you folks have to watch it as we get more towards Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, here's the satellite imagery, and it does not look well organized at all. Here's the circulation center looking very ill-defined, elongated, weak. However, in this thunderstorm blow up here, the aircraft is responding to winds at a flight level to hurricane force, and at the surface up to 60 miles per hour, and that's why it's strengthened. But I'm going to tell you right now, I find it hard to believe, with this wind shear and this naked center, that this system is going to move to the north anytime soon. Usually the weaker they are, they're in the low-level flow, and they end up moving further west. So, if you are in the butterfly-shaped island here, I believe that's Guadeloupe. If you're in Guadeloupe, if you're in Barbuda up here, I would be prepared for a direct strike. Now, the good news is it won't be a hurricane, and if it were, it wouldn't be a strong hurricane, but the main action is on the right-hand side. So again, if the center were to cross over Barbuda, that doesn't mean you're going to get the worst of the weather. If it stays sheared like this, the worst weather might remain to your east, but that's just too far out to be able to say right now. The wind shear is helping keep it in check, but it is looking like it's going to get in a slightly better environment as time goes on, especially down the road. And so it doesn't mean if it's weak now, it doesn't mean it's going to be weak forever. It could come back. You can see that even better here on the shear tendency map, that we do have lower wind shear in areas of the southwest Atlantic and the Bahamas. And so that is why we're going to watch this very, very carefully. Here's the GFS model, and this one is the 12Z, and you can see it makes it a very powerful, dangerous major hurricane and turns it very close to Bermuda, but it strengthens it quick between Puerto Rico and north of the Dominican. It strengthens from about 1,000 millibar tropical storm to a 970 millibar hurricane. Look at right there. Boom. And that would be very quick intensification, and then a turnout to sea. The stronger it gets, the more north it's going to move. However, the European model says no, it's going to stay weak, remain here in the Caribbean, come out over the Bahamas, and become a hurricane and hit Florida. So there we go. There's the anxiety, like these systems. Is this thing going to get caught up over the islands and spit back out later over warm water and hit Florida? Or does it do what the GFS shows and take a track more towards Bermuda? That is a very different model solution depending on what you look at. However, the bad thing is the Canadian also favors the westward track. Here's the European ensembles. Most of them do turn it out, but the ones that do, it's much stronger. The weaker ones are down here over Cuba, and that's why the Hurricane Center says this thing could be anywhere northeast of the Bahamas or over eastern Cuba in 5 days. We just don't know right now, and that's always so frustrating when you're dealing with storms like this. Here's the GFS ensemble, same type of deal. The reason they're all out here, you can see they make it a very powerful storm. Those pink lines there, that is a strong hurricane. And so we're going to wait and see. If it becomes a strong hurricane, it's going to move further out. But right now, like I showed you, it's a naked center. It ain't a strong hurricane. It ain't anywhere near that. So again, these are the models. The Hurricane Center going with something like that. That black line there, that's a pretty good idea. But again, some of them show it here in the Caribbean Sea. Some take it to the Gulf of Mexico. The Canadian model, look at this. Over the Caribbean, very weak, pops out, becomes a hurricane for South Florida, then into the Gulf, and a stronger hurricane for New Orleans. Thank you, Canadian model. So we'll wait and see on that one. But again, a lot of the models do turn it. So is it going to turn? Is it going to stay west? Is it going to go in the middle? Do not know, and that's why tracking hurricanes is fun, fun, fun. Here's the key messages with Fiona. Number 1, tropical storm conditions are expected in the Leeward Islands in that warning area by Friday evening, and it's possible in the watch area across the Virgin Islands Saturday, and then Puerto Rico late Saturday night. Heavy rain from Fiona will reach those islands Friday afternoon, spreading into the British and the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico Saturday into Sunday, and then Hispaniola on Sunday. Hispaniola floods like mad. This may produce flash and urban flooding along with isolated mudslides, especially in the areas of higher terrain. You guys want to be very, very careful. Considerable flood impacts are possible across eastern Puerto Rico. And finally, Fiona is expected to move near Hispaniola early next week, and watches could be required for the island tomorrow. Again, anywhere, any of these islands need to be on the alert. We do have a tropical depression, 13E, in the Pacific at 12.7 north, 95.4 west, winds of 35, moving northwest at 3 very slowly. That is a rainfall threat because it is expected to become a tropical storm. We have a tropical storm watch all the way west to Zihuatanejo with a possibility of a landfall sometime Saturday. And there's a look at it there, blowing up convection, well on its way to becoming a tropical storm. If and when it does, it will be named Lester. There's Fiona blowing up, still naked off to the west. We're going to watch all these systems as hurricane season 22 rolls on by. I'm Mike Naso, and I will talk to you guys next time with more on Fiona.